should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. This should be played at high volume. Preferably in a residential area.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Hoppe Hour.
What up? What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. And this next guest is a guy I got to meet when Eric Nagel from Opie and Jimmy gave me a tour of SiriusXM. He's a very cool dude. On the phone line from the morning mashup on SiriusXM Hits 1. Every morning you can hear him. On the phone line is Ryan Sampson. What's up, dude?
Yo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, dude. What I like about your show is you guys have a very laid-back vibe where you don't need fake bits, and it comes off like you guys are really friends. Because I'm not very big on Top 40 radio, because to me a lot of times it sounds like they're just trying to make a thing work. But your show just comes off really genuine, you know?
Well, we actually are friends. That's the best part. You know, the show was – we weren't hired together as a show. We all kind of worked at Sirius and started doing it together. And just over the years, it started working, and it's a lot of fun doing it every morning. I love going to work because I do get – you know, Rich and I – who was with us for a long time, went to college together. So, you know, we all started out as friends.
Does it ever make it a bit awkward, though? Because a lot of times the best radio teams are the ones that don't like each other. So is it ever weird where you think you might ruin your friendship because you guys are so close and you guys work such long hours?
Oh, no. And I think that's why we mesh together, is because, you know, we do have days where we get on each other's nerves and get on each other, but we're very allowing and forgiving with one another. So, that it's good creatively, and it's allowed us to stay friends. So there's never been an issue there.
What is the best part about working with the crew?
I guess just working with them. I mean, that's the easiest one. We all have our specific roles too, when we know them. What I may not be the best at in the world, Nicole's good at, and what Nicole doesn't know, I'm there for. And then Stanley T is, it can cover both of us. And that's, is being a team like that, where we all fill different, where we all have different holes to plug, where we all fill different roles, that's a great combination I've never had before.
Now, how does prep work? Do you do it at home? Do you do it when you're driving? Do you do it when you first wake up? How do you get the prep ready for the show?
I mean, it's 24/7. You're doing it all the time. You're watching life, and as it happens, you're taking notes, and and we're texting back and forth with one another. As far as that goes, we have a meeting every day after the show where we, do a little bit more formal planning. But if you're not doing it and paying attention and thinking about how to relate life back, you're kind of missing it. So you really should be doing it 24/7. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the hardest work in the world either. Just pay attention to what's going on around you and how people react to certain things, and see what, you think other people will react to.
What I like about you guys, too, is it seems like you really care about what the listeners think. Because a lot of shows, once they get successful, they know they're going to have the listeners, so they just begin to kind of just say, screw you to them. But what I like about you guys is... I agree
with that. You don't know you're going to have the listeners. You really never know you're going to have them. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you guys always seem like you care,
Well, and just kind of what I was saying is because you never know that you're actually really going to have them. People go away very quickly. Yeah. And it's, you can say one thing that they don't like. You can get stale and old, and they find something better. And it's not a personal thing, but it's just the way it works. So you have to be paying attention and talking to people as much as you can, because, you want them to, I don't know it sounds weird, but I've made friends with a lot of our listeners, and I consider them friends, and we may not talk as much as we should, but when I get a chance, I love to do it.
It is kind of weird. I have the same thing here. I have a few people that I've become friends with because they know when I'm on the air on the bone, and they know me from Twitter. Like, isn't it weird how there's people we will never meet in our lives, but they are some of the most genuine people, and that's from Twitter?
Well, that's what Twitter's awesome for, or Instagram, or, is just being able, just like you said, somebody that's halfway across the country or halfway around the world, you can have a conversation with. and that was never possible before. You had a phone, and that was good, but there wasn't the connection and getting to know different people through interests. And it makes my job a lot easier because I can communicate with so many people. And like you said, we talk to our listeners, and that's one really good way to do it.
Now, you've been in radio for a while. Is there a part of you that wishes that Periscope, Twitter, and Facebook was around in the 90s, or are you just happy that it's here now? Because I feel like if it was around for a longer time, radio would have been so much more interactive in the 90s and 80s,
Well, it would have been whenever it started. I guess it started when it started, but I was I'm fortunate. I think that I got to learn the hard way, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I'm glad I had to work a little bit harder to learn stuff. I guess I never thought about that. I'm glad it came along when it did.
Yeah, because it's just weird how 10 years ago the big thing was text to show, but now you got to do Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope. How do you keep up? It seems
fun.
like Snapchat.
I think, so many people have so many different theories on this. The one I kind of go with is, you can't do all of them well. And I tend to do most of my stuff on Twitter and Instagram. I tend to pick one and work hard at it. I wish you had time and attention and to do every single one of them, but you don't always have that to do it well. So, if you think you do, though, go for it.
The one I like the least is Facebook, just because I feel like I'm always promoting myself way too much on there. I feel like I'm just pimping myself out. But when I'm on like Twitter, it makes more sense because people add you on there to see what you're doing. But don't you feel kind of weird when you're like, oh, I met this person today, or I'm doing this? It just feels like a shameless plug every time I post a thing on Facebook,
Well, and really, you got to think about it like this: is it's no different from being on the air, because you can go on the radio and you can talk about yourself and say, I did this all the time and I did that. But you find ways on the radio to make it more relatable to other people, and you just have to do the exact same thing with social media. They really, I always tell people they're really not that different. Is whatever social media you choose is just another microphone. So the same way you would, try to make it relatable on the air, try to turn that into words you type out.
Now, you guys aren't on one of the XL platforms because you guys don't swear, so I'm assuming you don't get the meanest of tweets, but how do you react to the mean tweets and the mean posts that might be said about you or someone from the show online?
You're right. Like there hasn't been a ton of them. It happens every once in a while, and people are going to hate, but what are you going to do? You just mainly brush them off, and sometimes there are real interests and concerns, and if somebody actually has a complaint, something you should address, of course you want to do that. But if somebody's just being mean for the sake of being mean, they're pretty easily ignored.
Well, here's what I love about it, too. Like, by no means am I, like, famous or anything here in Tampa, but I'll get recognized if I go to a bar just because I'm so tall. And I've never had...
Once you're getting recognized, that means you're famous. You're already there.
I'm working on it. I would say I'm a Z-list. I'm a Z-list podcast that works in promotions. I try to keep it humble, But what I notice is every time somebody wants a pic with me, Ryan, and this probably happens to you too, they never say you're a fucking piece of shit with no talent. But come on Twitter, anybody can say anything. That's what I love about Twitter, is these people would never say it to our face, Of
course. It's easy to hide behind an egg. I guess they just haven't found Yik Yak yet.
What's that?
You'll get there. It's basically anonymous Twitter.
Oh, I've heard about that, dude. I think anonymous is just ruining everything. And I mean that, like, the fact that we can hide behind the keyboard and say whatever. Don't you kind of get the vibe that it's ruining social skills just overall?
I guess, you can easily say that. People are certainly quicker to be mean online, and there's no need to ever be mean, and I still even go with, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that's online and everything. And sometimes I find myself doing it. I have a bad experience somewhere and I sit down and want to write a review, and I'm like, well, why am I really doing this? I mean, like, am I just trying to screw up someone's day? Why am I, I'm not that much of a jerk, and I'll back off. But it's really, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Now, dude, what I liked about when I got the tour of SiriusXM was I got to see the redhead from that 70s show in Orange is the New Black, and then I got to meet Omar from The Wire. It was insane. Within 5 minutes, I'm meeting famous celebrities. I met you guys. I met Opie. I saw Bob Bowie in the hallway and Robin. How overwhelming is it, dude, that you're on SiriusXM Hits 1 and you're just seeing celebrities walking through? And I was just there for 3 hours and I saw a lot. How overwhelming does it get, dude?
It's awesome every day. You have to remind yourself every day, like, holy cow, I'm really here. And that's exactly what you described is what made me work at SiriusXM. I started there in a lower position and I've worked my way up, but I was up for a couple different positions at the same time in radio. A couple major market program director positions and a coordinator position at SiriusXM. And I sat in the lobby while I was waiting for my interview, and exactly what you described happened to me. And I'm like, I'm stupid if I don't work here. And it was less money than everything else that I was talking about. It was a lower job title than everything I was talking about, but just exactly what you described of what an incredible environment it is to just see everybody in the course of a day who you see and the things you see happen. I said back then, I would be an idiot if I didn't find a way to work here. And, this is 11 years later now, and I still feel the same way every day.
Dude, what was weird, too, was it just feels like a busy hub right outside of SiriusXM because you have Fox News right across the block. You have The Tonight Show. Like, don't you just feel cool going into the job? Because I just felt really awesome being there. Like, it's like, to me, it's like a radio geek's heaven. You know what I mean? It just has that vibe. It's just bright. It's shiny. It's in downtown New York City. It's like the perfect hub,
Yeah. Hey, Rockefeller Center is, kind of the center of everything. So it's a really cool thing every day. When I go into work in the morning, before we start the show, you can hear the concerts from the Today Show over on the Plaza. And in the summers, Fox is doing concerts on their Plaza, when I walk out for a minute, when I get my little break. But, that sort of thing is awesome to see every day. It's really, and you see the tourists all looking at it for the first time. That's always what I love is I see this stuff every day, but I love watching the tourists who see this every day, and when we have an A-lister walk out of our building and jump into their car and someone who's never been to New York before suddenly sees, the biggest movie star in the world right in front of them, the reactions are always the best part.
What I want to know, too, is this. How do you guys do your interviews? Are you guys told beforehand that you can't bring up this and you can't bring up this? How do you guys get everything ready for what you want to ask them?
There are certainly publicists and representatives who will suggest that we don't talk about things. It doesn't happen that often. And most of the time, it's not even something that we want to go after. We've never been the show to, shock anybody or try to embarrass them or get them to say something stupid. We really just kind of want to get them to relax and have fun and tell us the things that they find funny. And I'm not sure that we do prep for it any differently than anybody else, but just read as much as we can with them. We try to, kind of come up with something, a fun little game or something to do that relates to them. And otherwise, the whole point is just to get them relaxed and talk about and just like they're having a fun conversation with one of their friends.
But what are some interviews that have gone bad or maybe you were disappointed by? Were there any people that came in that you were really pumped for, Ryan, and it just didn't work out?
There are, honestly, I'll tell you, I can count 4 of them. I really don't want to throw anybody under the bus. And there's never been an incident of anything, bad or embarrassing or fights or, things thrown across the studio or people storming out. That's never happened to us. There's been awkward moments with people where maybe we necessarily just weren't the same personality types and didn't mesh, but there was nobody that was so bad or outrageous that I would ever, disparage them.
So when an interview is going bad and it's not getting the vibe you want, how do you guys end it without making it too awkward, or do you guys try to make the most out of it? What is the key to making a bad interview work?
It just goes back to trying to get them to relax and to find out what it is that they find interesting. You gotta listen to what they're saying. And when, if somebody's been doing press for 3 weeks in a row and they're exhausted, or they just don't want to do it at all, or, their mind is somewhere else, or, maybe they just don't have media training or they've never done it before. The whole point is just to get them to relax and like they're at home and would be talking to family or friends and, listening to them sometimes to figure out what they're interested in is the quickest way to do it.
Now, I'm a huge geek for The Wire and Boardwalk Empire. So the day that I was there and I met Michael K. Williams that plays Omar, that was unreal because that is my favorite show. I can't imagine what it's like when you get to interview someone that comes by the SiriusXM building. What's an example of an interview, Ryan, that you guys did where the whole time you were in utter awe? You could not believe the person was in the same room as you.
I don't know that it's the exact description of what you're saying, but not too long ago, we did a town hall event with Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And when we were kind of between segments and taking a little break and resetting, and I was sitting beside Taylor, and I noticed somebody out in the hallway watching us. Now, you saw the lobby where we had the fishbowl, the big performance space in the lobby, and there was somebody standing right on the other side of the glass, and I noticed, and I kind of went, holy cow. And I leaned over to Taylor Swift, and I said, hey, don't look now, but Graham Nash is standing there watching us. And she's like, I know, I saw him the minute he walked up. He's absolutely my hero. I can't believe this. And like that to me was just like a totally cool moment that Taylor Swift was trying to act cool in front of Graham Nash, who was standing there watching both of us. And it's a really surreal moment. And there's also the time, one of the more surreal moments is when I accidentally called Neil Diamond Mr. Sadodka in the elevator. I got the wrong Neil. That was embarrassing.
How mad was he? What happened?
Actually, he didn't notice. A couple other people in the elevator, his assistant did, and corrected me very quickly. But it was that was a bad one.
How many weird moments have you had on air? Has there ever been a moment where you thought it was going to be a bad segment with them, but then it ended up being gold? You know what I mean?
And that's a lot of times. You never go in expecting a bad segment. You can see things going south sometimes, and then they turn around. I don't even know how to answer that. That's kind of like almost every time is when you're doing live stuff, you never exactly know what's going to happen next. So sometimes that's kind of all the time.
Now, for people that haven't heard the morning mashup, and let's say they're going to try and figure out what they want to listen to in the morning, why should they listen to your show?
Because we have fun. I mean, that's really, we have a great station with, I think we do a really great job with the music. We've broken a lot of artists, and Hits One is really great at debuting new music. We were the first ones, we were early first ones to play Taylor Swift back in the day, to play One Direction. There's so many artists that we've given a home to where other people won't. So the music's unique, and also, I think we have a fun show. We're just there to goof off and have fun, and we welcome all new people.
Who are some artists to look out for this year? Who could possibly have the hit of the summer?
Oh, it's too early. Come on, man. It's only April. I can't answer that.
It's almost May, dude. What are you talking about?
It's still only April. I haven't heard it yet. I'm abstaining from that one.
How cool is it, though, when you hear the hit of the summer, dude, and you go, damn, we had that person first. You know what I mean?
Oh, when you know it, it's really cool. You listen to it 50 times in a row, and you tell as many people as you can when the first time you hear it. And it's a cool feeling. And I have not had it yet.
Before I let you go, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? Do you want to be at SiriusXM? Would you want to have a nationally syndicated show on FM radio? Where do you want to be?
I love where I'm at. I love, this is the Morning Mashup's 10th year at SiriusXM. I love what I'm doing. I have no complaints.
Well, yeah, man, because I get that vibe too. You guys just come off really happy. Like a lot of times you can tell by when someone is talking on air that they're not comfortable and that they don't want to be there. But that's what I look up to you about you guys, is you guys seem like you appreciate each and every segment, You know
what? Listen, I figured this out a while ago that no matter where you go, there's going to be some level of crap to deal with. And just depending on where you are, there's just different crap.
Yeah.
You know, we're on the radio every morning. What's not to love about that? You know, you have to go in with a good attitude every day, because really, you know, it's a dream job for me. So doing anything else doesn't make sense to me.
And now, where can people find your work online and on the radio? SiriusXM.com/hits1, Facebook.com/morning mashup, and we are on SiriusXM Hits 1. That's channel 2 on SiriusXM every day from 6 a.m. until noon. Well, dude, keep up the good work, man. I'm glad I was able to meet you. You guys could not have been more courteous and cool, and hopefully someday maybe I'll be working in the same hallway as you guys.
That would be awesome, dude. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thanks a lot for having me on.
No problem, man. Keep up the good work, Ryan.
All right, dude.
All right, bye.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.